All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Big Time Mr. Podcast. We're back. It's been a while. Getting back into the swing of things this fall, so it's time to get back into the podcast game. And my guest tonight, he's been patiently waiting. We've lined this up a while back, finally making it happen. Gorham's own Jeff Manchester joining us in the pod. Jeff, how are you?
Good, man. I'm glad we finally can get this going, man. I'm excited to be on here. Like I said, I listen to your podcast a lot, man. I love when you put out new episodes. I'm always listening, trying to find out what's going on in Maine basketball. And obviously, back in the day, my age and stuff like that, my year. But I'm glad to be on, man. I'm finally glad that we made this happen.
Yeah, so I know a lot about the Gorham girls program because I'm good friends with Lombard, the coach of the girls program. Girls program has had a ton of success.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been good. They've been a good program forever, right? But I mean, especially over this last decade and what it's done there. But now I want to learn about Gorham boys, Gorham boys hoops. I want to learn about it.
Okay.
Well, so let's just start there. Let's just go back. So, like when you were coming up, what were you around? What was the Gorham hoops environment? Because you're lucky because you also grew up in a college town. You got USM right there, so you get the best of both worlds, right? High school hoops, Maine college hoops. What came first? What did you get into first?
Definitely Gorham hoops.
Yeah.
I had a brother. Grew up playing. He didn't play much in high school, but I mean, he was always in around the Gorham basketball program, camps, travel leagues, doing all that too. And I mean, ever since I know Gorham was a winning program, especially when I was younger. I mean, I think from 98, probably, I mean, we went to the championship every year. We're in the Western Mains or going to the finals. So, I mean, basketball's always been kind of just run through Gorham. It's in their blood, especially during my era. I just growing up, going to the games and stuff, and the older guys too, like Kendrick Valentine, watching him play. I mean, we can go way back, like Mike Burke. I remember when I was must have been, like I said, I had an older brother, 6th grade. So, I mean, 6 years older than me. So, growing up, my mom would bring me to the games all the time back in the day, and just go watch the games every night. And anytime basketball was on, going on at Gorham High School, we were there. So
what about what about in the household? Was basketball big in your family?
It wasn't. My parents didn't play sports. My mom was a cheerleader in high school. My dad didn't play any sports. Like I said, my brother played basketball a little bit growing up. I just fell in love with it because, I used to have to travel. My mom to bring my brother to the games and stuff, going there and watching him play. And I mean, at a young age, I was going when I was 3-4 years old. I remember going and watching him play, and I'm like, I was always that kid trying to get out there at halftime, trying to their games, just getting shots up whenever I could, showing them, oh, I can almost make this layup, Yeah. And right from the jump, man, 4 or 5, I started playing, loving it. And as soon as I picked up a basketball, I grew up in Little Falls of Gorham, which is on the outskirts, kind of on the Wyndham-Gorham line, and pretty much just grew up watching my brother play, man. Wherever he went, we had this Little Falls Rec. That's what it was called, the outdoor courts, probably a mile down from my house. My brother used to go down all the time with his friends. And at the age, I was young, so they would never let me play. So I'd go down there and watch, sit on the sidelines. I mean, there'd be 50 guys out there every night, playing. If you lose, you're not going to see the court
sitting for a while.
Exactly. So it got to the point where guys would start dwindling after a few games, and they'd be like, all right, my brother would be like, all right, Jeff, you can come play with us, And that kind of bothered me. I was like, I can play, but I was small, 5, 6, 7, So it was finally my brother was like, yo, my brother's pretty good. He come out here and play. And I started holding my own out there. That's pretty much how I started playing, man. It's just my brother.
Outdoors though, right? That's how it was coming up, especially summertime. It was you out there.
I mean, everything
out there, right?
Everything I know how to, everything I've ever done, with basketball training by myself, shots, everything's been outdoors. I never really had, until probably 7th or 8th grade, I never had the ability to go to a gym. My mom got me the USM pass at USM. So I'd go up there and watch those guys play. And then I'd play with some of the other college kids that didn't play on the team, but they'd be playing in the gym and stuff. So I used to go up there a lot doing that. But other than that, dude, I started outdoors. I played outdoors. That's all I did. I mean, trained. I'd watch, basketball on TV. I'd find moves and just go out there and just work on my game at a young age.
What is something that you took away? What was something about playing outdoors that kind of made you better? Like, cause it's different than playing inside, right? Like there's all the elements and stuff like that. Like, what is it about, what do you take away from your time playing outdoors that kind of helped you grow?
I would just say, man, it's just being outside, man. It was just something like, it was different. You know, it was different outside. I feel like you anything you can do outside, you're going to be even better inside at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, especially shooting wise.
Yeah.
You get a jump shot right outside, guess what? You're not going to miss much in the gym. I mean, it's just everything plays the factor outside. Also, I mean, I can sit here and think playing at pace when I was 15 years old, you know, everything playing, it was just more rough, physical. You know, you hit that concrete, man, or that hard target going to the hoop, you get fouled hard, hit that. It's different than hitting the floor in the gym. Absolutely. You know, it made you more rough. I'd say, like, how would I say it? More aggressive, I should say.
I agree. I agree with that right there.
Yeah.
You don't see no more. Like you could drive around and see all these courts nowadays and just empty courts.
Oh, it makes me, I drive by, you know, Payson and Deeren Oaks. Deeren Oaks is somewhat busy sometimes, but it's just, I think the quality of hoops there have went downhill. You know, it was just like, you go by there, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, dude, and that place would be slammed with talent.
Yeah.
You know, and even if they weren't talented, they were there to hoop.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a lot different nowadays.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it is what it is, man.
We talked about how you had USM right there and you spent some time in that gym growing up. You know, what is it about being in a college town and having that college program too? Like that's special. Like not everyone has that. Everyone has a high school growing up that they can go to and watch games, but you know, there's a few towns that have a university there, and like college hoops is its own separate thing. So what do you take away from growing up in a town with USM and just having that much more basketball to be surrounded by?
It's my mom was always bringing me to the games. Like I said, my mom brought me. I mean, if there's basketball going on, she brought me. She always had me in the gym. If there was, you know, going to the games at USM, watching them play when I was young. You know, it was great. The environment was just basketball, and Gorham. I mean, especially when I was growing up, you know. It's funny because growing up, like I always wanted to go to USM. You know, USM or St. Joe's, because St. Joe's wasn't too far where I grew up either. So my mom used to bring me to St. Joe's games all the time too. So I was like, at a certain age, I was like, yo, St. Joe's, USM, I don't know what I want to do, Mom. I want to play one of them.
Yeah.
But that was at a younger age. You know, I didn't really get the whole Division I, Division II, Division III. You know, I didn't get the difference at that time. You know, but I mean, it was fun, man. I enjoyed it a lot. It was always something going on with basketball in Gorham. Always. So
when you grow up, you tend to play basketball in your town, right? You come up to like the rec league or whatever else is you know, USM probably had camps and stuff like that. Yeah. What age did you start traveling and start getting outside of town and like starting to?
I started very young.
Yeah.
You know, basketball has always been big to me growing up. Even till today, man, I still just hoop just to get my mind right. You know, it's just kind of like you probably, you know, just get out there and just relieve some stress. School, I wasn't very good in school. You know, school always came very hard to me. So, I started playing probably travel league, 4th grade. You know, you did the whole rec league around Gorham, stuff like that. And then I started venturing out. My mom put me in a Yes League. It was called Yes League. It was in Portland. 4th grade, first time I played in it. It was during the summer, and that's when I first ventured outside of Gorham. It was more of like a school kind of basketball thing at the time. My mom wanted me to do some schooling during the summer just to, you know, get ready for the next grade. And they had a school program too. So like we'd practice a couple nights during the week. Saturday mornings, we would have like an hour of school, and then we'd have our game each week. And that was like, you had a season. And that's when I first started kind of venturing out. And I realized, you know, basketball was, you know, everywhere. I mean, Gorham, you're in Gorham, but then you realize like talent wise, just more you venture out, you're going to find it's just better players. I should say, more talented, or they're playing more in areas that you don't know about. You know, and that's when I first started like meeting up with like Carlos Strong and Martin Cleveland and all the kids that some down the line started playing with AAU. First time I played AAU, I was in 5th grade. I played for Maine Swish. We were decent, but I wasn't getting much burn on that team. It was funny because they always thought I was a shooter, which I was. You know, I was a shooter, but I'd go and miss 2 shots, out the game. And I wouldn't see the floor again.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget, I was in 6th or 7th grade, and we're playing an AU tournament after we lost. I had Carlos Strong and Jerry Strong. Carlos' dad come up to me and was like, hey, you should just come run with us. And I was like, at the time, I was kind of frustrated with the team I was playing with. Good group of kids. It just wasn't working out for me, and I wasn't getting any better. And I was like, I'll talk to you. I'll see what's up. I talked to my mom and stuff. And as soon as I joined that team, I felt like my game just elevated, because his dad was pretty much like, I know what you can do. I'm going to let you go. Like, I mean, I remember during practices, man, we wouldn't even like run plays or anything. We'd just play straight up 5-on-5 for an hour, hour and a half. And it'd be no fouls. You don't call fouls. And we just go at each other. And, I mean, that's when I first started venturing out, was probably 4th or 5th grade. And then I started playing a lot of hoops out of Gorham. And then he was always big on playing us out of state, you know, getting that, showing that, you know, you might be the man here, but guess what? You go out of state, it's different. You know, talent keeps getting better and better the further you go down south, you know? So that was pretty much when I started venturing out of Maine, out of Gorham right there in 4th, 5th grade. But I mean, I continued playing the travel league growing up in Gorham. You know, we'd play Cumberland, Greeley, Lake Regent, you know, all those guys. With my main core, actually, it was funny because I ended up playing varsity with these guys like Max Bass, Josh Tangway, Rob Conley. You know, we grew up playing together, travel basketball. And we actually later on around 7th or 8th grade, Max Bass and Josh Tangway joined up with Port City. So I got some Gorham guys on that team. So it wasn't just me out there hooping with Daring Squad. I'd call them the Daring Squad. Everybody's playing for Daring besides me.
I was going to say, yeah, so at that point, like whenever you start venturing into Portland and stuff like that, like, did you get shit being a guy like from not being like from the city?
Oh, yeah.
Not being from Portland?
Oh, yeah, here and there, man. But I mean, I held my own. So they couldn't,
that's the thing, right? If you hold your own, they can't say shit, right?
I can't say shit. I guess I'm getting buckets. So what are you guys going to do? You know what I'm saying? And that group, joining up with Port City is when I really broke that like plateau I was at. I felt like I was like just an average shooter, everything else, but I knew I was better. I mean, I put the work in, man. Since I picked up a basketball, I literally would shoot before school, after school, 4 hours outside the court, you know, outside court down at Little Falls, either playing or just working on my game. And then my mom would get home from work at 5:30 and she'd take me to USM, you know, and then play. And she'd even rebound for me, take charges. Like my mom was committed, man. So like I owe pretty much everything to my mother. You know, so like when I first joined up with Port City, man, that was pretty much where I started really playing. You know, these guys, confidence level, these guys can play. You know, and it was just, it became fun, really fun, because you see your game start elevating, you know, because you pretty much opened up. Like he was pretty much like, hey, we don't have plays. We're going to get out there. You guys know how to play this game. Work together and let's do this. I mean, I think we won states almost every year playing with that team.
Well, I mean, you guys had some good talent. I mean, just the names you dropped. I mean, I would hope so. You guys hoarding all the talent right there.
Yeah, for real. I mean, their main hoops had a squad too. Though. There was a couple of years that Maine's hoop put a team together, and I think Maine Select at that time too. I think there was a team Maine Select too that was pretty good too as well.
I want to say back in the day in Portland in the summertime, there used to be like a big ass 3-on-3 tournament. Is that correct?
Yeah, I want to say it was at Deer and Oaks.
Yeah, you ever playing that? You ever make your way down there?
No, man, I never got a chance to play that. First time I stepped on the court at Payson Park in Deer and Oaks, I was 14 to 15 years old. I remember freshman year. It was soccer practice, and I skipped soccer practice to go. My buddy was like, yo, these guys are playing down there. I'm like, for sure. I was like, I'm down. I'm always, you know, it was during the and one era too. Like, so like everything was outside, and I grew up outside. So it was just like, oh, for sure. There's people down there. Let's go check this out. And I heard this good run. I'm like, whatever. So I skipped soccer practice. And I think that was actually the last time I even saw soccer again, because I think the next day I came in, I actually broke my foot that day at Payson Park. I come in, my soccer coach is like, hey, where were you at practice? And I was like, I went and played ball. And he was like, you really want to be here? And I was like, I think basketball is going to be my, because I mean, you get to high school, man, you kind of know, you have to kind of like pick a sport. Yeah. Or you could be a 3-sport kid, which is nothing wrong with that. But I mean, basketball was my thing. Yeah. So like soccer was just more hanging out with the guys. You know, I was pretty much filling somebody else's spot that really would probably care more than I did. So
all the Portland kids that I've had on, like Nick and Carlos, all those guys, I always ask them if they had Payson Park stories from when they were coming up. Do you have any stories from your time there? Because I remember too, like when I was finally old enough to go to Portland, and I asked where the run was, it said Payson. It's like I got down there, but I wasn't like college by the time I got there, and it wasn't.
There's like 25, 30 guys there, man. It was nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Robert Pillsbury there. That's the first time I ever met Robert Pillsbury. And he helped me out a lot too, because he could tell right off the bat when I was kind of like, I was kind of shying away out there a little bit. I wasn't getting out there just trying to kill. And he saw me play a couple times, and he'd be like, "Yo, man, come here." And I'm like, "What's up, man?" And he was just like, "Dude, you can play. What are you like? You're passing the rock too much. You're being a little like, too laid back out here. Like attack." And I actually, after that, I became really good friends with Robert Pillsbury. He's a little older than me, but he came like kind of a mentor to me too.
I was going to say, at that point, he must have been like Mr. Basketball by that point, like getting buckets and hustling, right?
Yeah.
So you know who he was. He had that clout.
I somewhat knew who he was before I got there, but I didn't really. I've heard the name before. Yeah. But then when I got there and saw him play, I was like, all right, this is that guy right here. This is that guy that his hezzy is too crazy, and he's not missing a three. And then you had like Charles Mason out there. I don't know if you know that name.
That name doesn't sound familiar to me.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if he was a Portland guy, but he was played overseas. He used to show up all the time there.
Yeah.
I mean, the run out there used to be crazy. Every night we'd be out there. Get out of school, I'd drive down there. If I didn't have a car, I'd hit my buddy up with a car and be like, "Yo, let's go down and play." I mean, you could find basketball down there all day long, and it's different now.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll just go with that. It's different now. We'll just go with that right there. It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
Any runs with like Jamal or Nick or any of those guys? You ever cross paths with them down there?
I remember Nick was there a couple times. Jamal definitely was there. Walter was there. I didn't really know them like that.
Yeah.
Back then, like they're a couple years obviously older than me. I just remember my mom used to bring me to the Civic Center all the time. Watching those crazy playoff games. With Ralph Mims, Deering, all that, like that squad that never won a championship. Sorry, Nick. That was crazy. And it was fun watching those guys, because you always sit here and you're like, as a kid, you're like, I want to do that one day. I want to be out there one day, and hopefully in those shoes, playing like that. And I mean, I don't think we knew anybody on either of the teams. My mom just knew that it was playoffs at Civic Center. She just bring it down there. I mean, Gorham didn't even play at the Civic Center. We played at Augusta and Bangor, So just growing up, watching them play, man, it made me really love basketball. But other than that, I never really had any run-in with them growing up like that, besides a couple times at Payson's, but I'm Payson. I don't even remember that, though, probably.
It's a good segue, because I was going to ask you, we're talking about tournament games and stuff like that and going to those. Like, getting ready to head into high school, where was the Gorham boys program at? You said that you guys were winning pretty much year in, year out. So, coming into it, what were your expectations? Where was the program at? And what was your feel around it? What was it all about?
It was big, man. Winning. Yeah. I mean, it was all about winning. I mean, it was a winning program. I mean, I think 2000. I want to say 2000. I want to say between 2001 and 2005. I think they were in the playoffs. I mean, in the finals, the Western Conference Finals every year besides one. I mean, it was just a winning program. You either come and play and you win, or I mean, it was just, that's how it was. Like, you go there and you you're going to compete for a championship each year, especially with the squad and Coach Jenkins there. I mean, that guy is a hell of a coach, and knows how to coach good players too. I was, as a freshman, I didn't play varsity until my junior year.
You had some good players in front of you, though.
I did, man. Okay, I did. I understand, and I'll be honest, I also felt like I didn't have any brothers or sisters come to the program. And I feel like politics sometimes plays a role in that. You have brothers, older brothers that played, and then you come to the program. You're probably just, you'll be on that team. And I felt like that's how Gorham was kind of like when I was coming up. But we had some really good players. I mean, my junior year, we had Ben Thayer was a senior. Ben Thayer was a good player.
Yeah. I mean,
that kid was probably the toughest kid I ever played against ever in my life, even in practice and stuff like that. That kid hustled and worked so hard. It was like, wow, kid doesn't stop. And there's no easy buckets on Ben. No easy buckets.
That's the one name I remember. I remember watching the state game. What was it, 05?
Yeah, 05.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll get to that. Well, I'm kind of jumping the gun, but that's the name I remember right there was Ben Thayer.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben Thayer growing up, man. It was Ben Thayer, Keegan Ballantyne, which is Kendrick Ballantyne's brother. Ben had some good brothers ahead of him that played through Gorham. But, I mean, it was a winning program. Like I said, I couldn't wait to be part of it. I mean, I used to be at the rec pretending I was on the varsity team, and I had Coach Jenkins yelling at the baseline at me. I had 5 seconds left to hit a game winner.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I grew up, like just fantasizing about those moments.
I remember seeing him on TV all the time because I used to just sit there and watch the tournaments like on TV, on PBS, fucking loving it, right? Just watching all these games, and just Gorham would always be on TV. I had no idea where Gorham even was on the map. I just remember seeing like Gorham always on TV.
Always on TV. Man. We're always either in the Western Conference Finals or in the finals.
Yeah.
You know, it was great. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better town to grow up in, especially in basketball at that time. You know, growing up, going to the camps each year, having those older guys there running the camps, the guys that you looked up to, you know, growing up, you know, and we didn't miss it. I mean, every time they played the Civic Center, Augusta Civic Center, Bangor, my mom would drive me up and we'd watch them. I mean, we never really missed many Gorham games growing up at all.
So you spent a couple of years on JV, you mentioned, which it isn't the worst thing in the world, right? So, I mean, I'm guessing you got plenty of time to play, plenty of shots to be taken, right? So, what do you take away from Jay? What would you take away from it? Because it had to have helped the development. I mean, you know, you could have just been sitting on the bench on varsity for 2 years, but you got all kinds of playing time at least, right?
Jay, yeah. I mean, mostly halfway through the game. I mean, we'd be up by like 15 to 20 at halftime. You know, I'd have 25. You know, so it was like I always wondered, like, why am I not playing varsity? Why am I not playing varsity? Because literally, I would have 20 or 25 at halftime. You know, we'd be up by 20. You know, so it's like second half, I'd see the floor a few minutes. But other than that, it wasn't. I mean, I was always waiting for my chance. You know, and I had a good assistant coach. He was assistant for JV and varsity. His name's Chris Crosby. And he always looked out for me since day one. Like freshman year, he always telling me, like, Jeff, you know, you keep putting that work in, you can be something special here. And like he's always told me, play my game. You know, I felt Gorham was more of a you know, pass, cut through, you know, run the offense.
Old school basketball.
Yeah, exactly. And it was working for them. You know, it was working, obviously. I mean, they're going to the championship or Western Maine finals every year. But it was more like that wasn't who I was. You know, I'll come down and pass the ball away, but if I get it back, guess what? I'm going to try to break somebody down, or I might try to step back for a three or create for somebody. Yeah. Just the whole pass through, cut through thing was just, that was another thing too. Like I said, I wasn't all that great in school. So all these plays and stuff, structure, it was good for me, but it took me a while to get used to it. So I understood why I played JV, you know, and there was older guys in front of me that already put their mark on the program. So like, you know, you had to give them respect too, you know? And so, I mean, when it was my time junior year, I'd say senior was more my team. It was probably my team my senior year because we had Ben of junior year and Ben was a good player. But it was pretty much JV was, like I said, man, I went through JV just doing my thing. It was pretty much like, why am I not playing varsity? Yeah. And I was pretty upset. I'll never forget this. We're at Gray right before, we had a couple weeks before the playoffs. And Chris comes up to me, Mr. Crosby, Coach Crosby, and he's like, hey, they're thinking about swinging you. And I'm like, finally, I'm going to get swung. Playoff. This is my moment. That's all I need. And that game, after he told me that, right before the game, I went up and I blocked some kid off the backboard and I hit my thumb on the rim and I ended up breaking my thumb. So after the game, Coach Jenkins talked to me and he's like, hey, man, you know, it's too bad because we were going to ask you to swing. And I'm like, of course. Of course. So I was upset, man, for like a couple of weeks. I mean, I literally cried for like 3 days after that. I was like, that was my moment. I mean, we tried to wrap it up with some foam and stuff, too, but it was my right hand. It wasn't. I wasn't getting buckets out there with that on. And they did let me play though. The rest of my JV season, the refs were like, "Yeah, we'll let it go as long as it's all padded up." But I mean, I had this cast on my hand, dude. It was like ridiculous. Yeah.
So anytime I can try to use this platform to maybe give some kids some advice for kids that are in a similar situation, we try to do that here. So, like for those that may be sitting on a JV team thinking they should be playing varsity, what's something you could take away and tell them that they can use? Basically, it's going to be all right because you obviously you grew from that time. So yeah. What's something we could give these kids advice-wise that may be in the same situation, thinking they should be somewhere but playing JV?
Put the work in, man. That's really what it is. I mean, I didn't let that bother me. I didn't put my head between my legs and just say, you know, I'm done with this. You know, this is not, why am I not, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'd sit there and talk to myself like that, but I realized the only thing I can do is get better. I mean, I played literally, I think I played 4 to 5 hours a day of just basketball my whole life, growing up in high school, middle school. And it was just, I knew where I knew where I should have been. And I kind of had a feeling why I wasn't there, but I wasn't going to let that hold me back. I was just going to keep working until they couldn't say no to me, you know, until they realized, wow, okay, we can't keep playing this kid JV. I mean, this kid, I mean, he, during summer league, during varsity, during summer league, I mean, in 10th grade, playing varsity, I'd score 15, 20 points, and then I'd play JV the following year. And it's like, what's the deal with that? Like, yeah, what's going on here? Like, why am I not on varsity? Like, but I mean, I pretty much don't give up. Just put that work in, man. You put that work in, the outcome will come. It will come someday, you know, just don't give up. And that's what I didn't do. I knew where I should have been, and I just worked harder to get there.
When did you take the biggest leap from one year to the next? Was it sophomore, junior year? Was it junior to senior year?
I would say so. I had a friend from so playing down the rec, I met a lot of cool guys that love basketball. So we used to go down there all the time. During the summer, I had this friend named Colin X from Wyndham, good athlete. And during that summer, we'd play 1-on-1, probably, I would say every day, 20 games at least. And he was good at defense. And we'd play no fouls, whatever goes. And during that year, first year, probably the sophomore to junior year, I think that helped a lot because, I mean, we would hack each other and we'd play. Like, he's one of those guys that he's not going to give up until he gets a W. And let me tell you, he wasn't going to beat me. I'll be honest with you. So I wasn't stopping either. And I'd have to be like, bro, I'm done. I'm tired. You know, and I feel like that was my leap right there. He helped me out so much, just attacking me the whole summer. And I think it was 10th to junior year where I kind of like, I grew and I started getting bounced, and that was just came out of nowhere. I never lifted my legs or nothing. You know, it was just started. I mean, I threw it down one time in JV. It was a weak one. But after that, man, I think it started my whole game just started elevating after. And that was the work I put in. You know, I put the work in. Everything was done outside. You know, I didn't do many camps growing up. I did the Gorham camp, obviously, during the summer.
Yep.
I went to the USM camp. That was right there.
Which one's that one? Is it Swish camp?
That used to be Swish camp. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And realistically, man, I didn't do any camps. Really, that was it. Other than that, everything I learned and worked on my game was outside. Watching NBA, Allen Iverson growing up, all those guys.
And watching N1 mixtapes.
N1 mixtapes, dude. Let's see him left and right and be like, oh, man, I got to learn that move.
All right, so I feel like we're kind of wired the same way just from listening to how passionate you are about being a fan growing up and stuff like that. So you get to varsity your junior year. What do you remember most about like your first home game coming out and fucking layups and just being fired up?
So I was upset, man, because I literally thought when we ended my junior year, it was for sure it was going to be my team, but we were Class B. And then we went to Class A. Jenkins comes to me and says, hey, next year we're going Class A. And I'm thinking to myself, I already had it. I was like, I'm going to score 30 next year. I'm going to win a state title finally. This is it. Class B, we're going to run this. I mean, we're playing the same guys all my life. Like we just click, you know, we're about to win this. And all of a sudden Jenkins is like, hey, we're going Class A next year. And I'm like, great. Like I was up for it because I grew up playing against the guys, all those Sean Costigan. I mean, all those guys I grew up playing AU with. And I'll never forget, Jenkins was like, oh, yeah, and we played Portland, Chever's, Deering, first 3 games. I'm like, so the toughest 3 games right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Yeah. I remember we lost Portland home was the first game. I think I had like 20. Andrew Duncanson outscored me. He had 32 that game.
Another hooper right there. Another hooper.
Man, I respect him, man. His game was he was tough.
Yeah.
Very tough. And then we played Deering. Obviously, they had Joseph Nguani, Martin Cleveland, Eric Lansky, you know, Carlos, obviously. Carlos was just a winner. I mean, the guy, he just wanted to win all the time. So he played so hard. And I always had a lot of respect for Carlos. His game, I always thought he was number 1 in Maine, to be honest with you, growing up. So I was always trying to get to where he was at.
Yeah.
And played them, lost to them, man. I think at 18, I think we only lost them by 5. And then we played Chever's at home, and that place was absolutely packed. I mean, wall to wall. And I ended up having 40 that game, and I think I only missed like 2 shots. And it was one of those games that you just went unconscious. Everything you threw up went in. I mean, I was pulling up from almost half court. It was just like everything was just falling, man. We ended up losing. The only reason why we lost that game is because Josh Tangler broke his leg, I think the second quarter or something like that. And it was pretty close. And then we ended up losing by, it was like 63 to like 59 or 57. So it wasn't that bad, but we were, and then after that, man, we didn't lose a game. We just literally won every game after that. I mean, those are the three toughest teams right there in 06. And we actually ended up going undefeated for the rest of the season after that.
So you went from Class B, junior year to Class A senior year.
Yeah, man.
Schedule wise, like what were the environments like? Because the guy had to have been like an entirely different schedule, right? So I mean, like in different type of environments, right? So the Class B schedule was like, who were you guys playing?
Class B?
Yeah,
we're playing Falmouth, Greeley, Lake Regent, Gray. Who else were we playing here? Wow, who else we had here? I feel like those are the main teams, but there was so many other teams. Poland. Who else was there? I'm saying was Noble was Class A, I think, my senior year. I mean, honestly, I think that was I don't know. There's a couple other teams, man. I completely forgot, but those are like the main guys I remember. Because I mean, like going against Brian Barr.
I was gonna say, did you get the best of Mr. Basketball? Like, what was that head like?
It was funny because me and Brian Barr played against pretty much our whole lives. You know, travel league, AAU. I always respected Brian Barr, and Brian's game was solid. I mean, the dude never made any turnovers. Smart, one of the smartest basketball players I ever played against, and and when he gets going, he doesn't miss. So it was always fun growing up and playing against him. And that's why I was kind of upset about the whole going to Class A my senior year, because I was like, yes, we're both going to be seniors this year. I'm going to go against Bryant. Yeah. You know, I'm pretty sure we'll probably meet in the Western Maine Finals again. And I was looking forward to those things until we ended up going to Class A, which I was still looking forward to because better competition, I would say. And I just think bigger schools, so more kids would be, you know. And it was just – I kind of wish we stayed in Class B, just because I knew it was going to be, you know, our year. We were going to beat Falmouth, Western Maine, and end up winning a championship. And I think I listened to Ryan Martin's a few weeks ago, and I think we would probably played Ryan Martin in that if we were in Class A. Class B. Ryan Martin was a hell of a player too.
It was a stacked era, dude. Like every team you said had somebody.
Dude, it was back then. It was like that.
Yeah,
they had studs. Every team had a stud.
I'm going to run through some names a little bit later on here, just to kind of go through and be like, damn, that person, this person, that person. Yeah. But we got a couple of things to get through before then. Whenever you were going like in Portland to play like Cheverus and Deering and stuff like that, what were those crowds like? They must have shitted you guys being from Gorham, right?
Oh yeah, crazy, man. I mean, I used to get harassed a lot, you know, especially maybe I might be seeing a girl at a high school somewhere or something. I would be screaming their names. Cheverus was probably the worst. Cheverus was just yelling everything at me. I mean, I would be too if I was dropping 40 on him in the game, but at the same time, it was just literally like everything. I mean, I would taking the ball out and people would grab my shirt, and it was just like, and that was our gym, you know. We didn't get to play at Cheverus. Never got to play at Cheverus. We never played at Portland because we only played them 3 times. I mean, once that season, all 3 of them. And the only team we played Portland and Cheverus at home. And then we played Deering at Deering, and Deering was crowded. Deering was big, you know. A lot of people knew who I was just from playing out in Portland. You know, a lot of kids went to high school. I'd see it pacing and stuff, didn't play on the team, but just be yelling at me the whole game, saying God knows what. I mean, just to try to get in my head, man. Those crowds used to be crazy, like packed gyms. Deering was tough to play in, very tough to play in. I always wanted to play at Cheverus because that new gym just got built. You know, a few years before that, and I never got a chance to play at Cheverus. But I mean, Scarborough was another one. Low key, playing at Scarborough was kind of tough too. Their gym was pretty packed too, and their fans were kind of rough. But
you play out of Bonnie Eagle. Everyone always says Bonnie Eagle had some rough fans.
Yeah, Bonnie Eagle was rough. It was funny. I had a lot of respect for their coach, Simons, I think was at the time. And he had a lot of respect for me. And I remember every time I'd score a basket, he'd run by me and just say, hey, nice shot, good shot, good shot. And he'd always help me, be like, you're going to miss the next one. He'd always just say little things to me. But I always had a lot of respect for Coach Simons because he had a lot of respect for me. But I love playing against them, man. I mean, anywhere that had big fans, anywhere I can get going. You know, I feed off that type of stuff. I don't like to run my mouth. I don't really talk much when I'm playing. But if you're going to say something to me, it's just going to kind of just bring me up a notch and be like, all right, let's get after it. You know, like I won't miss much after you start saying stuff to me. Usually, who knows?
Do you have a game that sticks out the most from senior year? Because you mentioned like everyone you went head to head with. I mean, you were going head to head with a lot of great players. Did you have one that...
Probably Chevers, just because they were known for their defense. I mean, at the time, Bobby Brown, I mean, hell of a coach too. Like, I mean, obviously one of the best coaches in Maine. You know, and they were known for the defensive team. They, you know, like you get by one guy, guess what? Somebody else is stepping up, and that's how it was. So I'd say that game. I mean, they were throwing everybody at me, and it just felt good that night. And just
what happened? Did Costigan get you at all? Did Costigan have to switch out and guard you at all?
You know what? He did, but every time he did, he'd catch me at the 3-point line, and I would just try to go by him.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd get by that guy at half court, and then he'd try to meet me in the middle, and I'd get by him. It's funny because I see Costigan all the time nowadays, man. I try to get him out to play, but he ain't trying to play.
He's too busy cutting hair, man.
I mean, he cuts me. I haven't seen him. I have to go see him in a couple of weeks. But nah, man, it's fun to see those guys around still nowadays and talk with them. You know, Costigan, especially one of them. We were boys growing up. You know, and I had actually one of my best friends. I thought we were going to go to high school and play ball together. He ended up going to Chevers too. Todd Pelkey. Yeah, he ended up playing with Chevers, but yeah, no, it was probably Chevers because of that game, because of Todd, my buddy that left me at Gorham to go to Chevers, and then like just the guys I played against at Maine hoops, like Graham Whitelaw. You know, you had Sean. Who else was on that team? Mark Bowden. Mark Bowden was defensively was tough, so tough. I mean, you get by him, it's luck. That's what I always said, because as soon as you get by him, he's gonna hit you with this little nudge. And he was strong too. So he just knocked you off the ball real quick. So, I mean, it was definitely the Chevers game because defensively they were known as a stop. Like they were stopping everybody. And that night it was like, nah, I mean, this ain't happening tonight. You know, first game in our building, you know, second game in our building against Chevers. No, it's not happening.
I'm going to get Sean's opinion on that. Sean, the invites went out to Sean soon. So, Sean, if you're listening, the invite's coming, man. I'm going to get you on too.
Yeah, get Sean on here.
We're going to get his side of the story. I want to go through two things real quick because you had the opportunity to play the Class A Western Maine tournament down in Portland and the Class B Western Maine tournament in Augusta. It's two different environments, right? Let's start with junior year and Augusta. Tell me about what it's like playing in Augusta. Everyone that I've talked to that's played there, they said I like that gym. It's nice and bright. It's wide open and shit like that. Like, what do you remember most from?
That's exactly what it is, man. It was easy to play there. Very easy to play there. It was weird. You know, we used to have so many fans. The fans would pack there every night. I mean, every night we'd play there. I enjoyed it a lot because it was bright. The rims are nice too. And there was no dead spots. The floor was nice.
Yeah.
I never hit a dead spot ever on that floor. And it did take a little bit to get used to with that whole background behind the hoop.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Just because the depth reception is so off. The hoop looks so small, you know, because it's so big.
Yeah.
I did like Augusta. I'll be honest, I've only got to play in Civic Center once. And that was our first playoff game we lost.
Who'd you guys play senior year?
Senior year, we lost to Marshwood, Mike Thomas.
What happened? I think you guys won like 15 in a row to close out the season, and you guys lost in the first round.
First round. Dude, I was so upset. It was a buzzer beater, man. Somebody got into the middle. The dude stepped up. Our big man stepped up, and nobody got the guy cutting from the corner. And the dude just ditched it down to him. He laid it in to win. Was it a upset, or were you guys that seating wise? I mean, we were right behind Portland Chevers Deering.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it was an upset. We didn't have any problems with Marshwood during the season. Great team though. I mean, they're really good. It was just I thought we would go in there at least. I mean, I thought we could make a run for the championship. I mean, that's what we're going in there for. But it got cut short real quick, and I didn't get the chance to get used to the Civic Center. It was tough, dude. First,
I know it's probably like a tough memory to talk about because of loss and stuff like that. But what do you remember about that? Just that environment?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Fans are. I mean, it's huge. I mean, it goes way up. Place is always packed, loud, very loud. And it was just everything I dreamt about. You know, as a kid growing up, watching everybody like Nick Medley, Walter, Ralph, all those guys in there. Like, I want to play in there one day. and we finally got a chance, and it was one game. It was only one game.
I got a random question for you right here. So I'm guessing
Yeah.
you used to get pumped up in warm-ups, right, and just be ready to go. Like what kind of layup guy were you? Were you going up and smacking glass? Were you going up and finger rolling right over the rim? Like
I was going up throwing it through. I was touching the rim because you couldn't dunk, obviously.
yeah.
So up there and just throw it through.
Every time or what?
Mostly every time. Yeah. I was trying to get amped, man. And playing in that environment, your adrenaline's pumping,
Yeah.
I mean, it was at like to the point where sometimes your shot fell off because your adrenaline pumping so much that you felt antsy out there. And I would be that guy just trying to throw it in. I mean, I got a lot of jump shots up though, trying to get used to the hoop right off the bat, but it didn't help me out much. Man, I think I only had ended with 15 or 16 that game, and I could have played a lot better that game myself. To help us get over that win, but we didn't end up winning and we got knocked out first round.
But you did get to a state title game where your junior year.
Junior, yeah, we did.
So actually, yes, you got the rare 3P. You got to play in Portland, Augusta, and Bangor, right?
Yeah, Bangor had dead spots, and it was just like I liked shooting at Bangor. I love shooting at Bangor, but the dead spots at Bangor
they're real. It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing, man. In the corners too. If you dribble, that ball might not be there at your hand when you go. You'd be like, oh, where'd that ball go? That's how it was there, man. And it was different, man, because there wasn't really that much depth possession behind the hoop. The wall was kind of right there.
The baselines, though.
Straight up.
Yeah.
It went straight up. It was tall, man. I really liked playing there too. And I wish we actually ended up playing there, get another chance, but we didn't, obviously, because went Class A. Senior.
Had you ever been to Bangor prior to playing there?
Watching Gorham play. My mom brought me up.
Yeah.
Like I said, she used to bring me up there and play. But other than that, I never played there besides that.
Was it a big deal, like getting to play in the auditorium?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, that's what you play for. Play in the auditorium.
Yeah.
To get there, get to the Western Mains, get to the finals. And it was, that was literally everything you dream of as a kid growing up, playing for your high school team, playing in the civic centers. Augusta, Bangor, no matter which one it was, that's what you wanted to do at the end of the season, especially.
Who'd you guys play junior year for states?
Camden Hills. Camden Hills?
The Gorham, and you guys have played, I thought you guys played Erskine at one point too. That might have been like 2 years prior.
We got smacked by Erskine.
Yeah.
It was I think it was 60-40 or something like that. That was my sophomore year. That was when I broke my hand. We went up there and Josh Jones. They had Josh Jones at the time.
Part of the program, Josh Jones.
Yep, Josh Jones, a hell of a player, man. Super athletic at that age. And he played hard. And we got in there and right off the bat, they gave us the business. And then junior year, we ended up playing Camden Hills. We lost by 3, I think, 3 or 4. And that was another game where I thought, at the end I wanted the ball more, but like I said, it wasn't my team yet. Not until senior year, at least.
Who was on Camden? Was it Tim Stammen?
That name sounds familiar, man. To be honest with you, I don't really remember the guys we played against. Yeah. That name does sound familiar, though.
I'll have to go look it up afterwards. Yeah. I think that's who that was. That squad. And Camden Hills was just a program too. Like it was pretty much like you guys coming out the west and like Camden coming out the east for a little while.
Yeah, I want to say we lost to Camden Hills. I want to say 2002 they played Camden Hills. 2003 we didn't make it. They didn't make it. 2004 we played Erskine, and then we played Camden Hills my junior year.
Yeah.
2005, yeah.
Some great programs. Some great programs at the time.
Yeah.
So nowadays, all these kids, they're playing AAU 9 months up the year, it feels like, and trying to do that or hoping that they can turn into like a college scholarship or getting seen going to play college ball. You mentioned playing AAU growing up. How much of that generated a college interest for you versus, I don't even know how it's like, or versus like just being at Gorham and stuff like that? Like where'd the interest come from?
Actually, it was probably AAU and playing at Gorham. AAU, because we used to play a lot out of state, man. Like I said, Jerry Strong had us playing pretty much every tournament out of state besides the state tournament, so we can go play nationals. Yeah. We went down to Florida, I don't know, a couple times, and I want to say that's when you start kind of getting noticed, here and there. I didn't really have any I didn't have any people hitting me up really until my junior year. I think that was because of especially AAU, especially him sending us to these weekend tournaments in Mass and just in New England, around New England. You know, I didn't start getting like letters from. I mean, I started getting. I mean, I have shoe boxes full of letters. I mean, I think I saved every college letter I got. I mean, I think they're at home. Actually, my mom moved a couple months ago, and she was like, "What do you want me to do with those letters down in the basement?" I was like, "Keep them. I'm coming over to grab them. Don't throw those out. They're in shoe boxes." But I'd say AU was definitely big for that. You know, it got my name out there, and at the time it was MBR too. MBR was big. Tom Nolet. I mean, he always threw those things together. He had that website going on with each player. You know, who you were, where you're from. And AU was big. I mean, it was, if you have the opportunity to play AU as a kid right now, and a kid coming up, and your coach wants to, you know, bring you out of state, these tournaments, do it, go. I mean, that's how you get exposure. And you kind of expose yourself too, because you see where you stand, you know, as a player. Like I said, I think you might be good here. You go out of state, the next guy you're matching up with might be 3 or 4 inches taller than you, maybe 15 pounds than you, and his skill levels 3 or 4 levels higher than you. And you're like, whoa, this kid's the same age as me?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like, it's just, I would definitely recommend kids to play AU. You know, I was always big. I feel like AU, when I was a kid growing up, high school coaches hated it. I don't know how it is nowadays, but like my high school coach and like other coaches I played with besides AU was like, AU is, you know, it's messing kids' games up. And at the same time, I thought it brought it out. You know, I think it exposed you more in AU than it would just be playing, you know, your regular travel league or your rec league.
You mentioned some of the kids you were playing with when you were younger. Like by the time you got to high school, like who was on the squad? Like you guys must have been stacked.
Yeah, I mean, we had Max Bass, Josh Tangway. Josh ended up going to play at Thomas, I believe, Farmington. I think Farmington Thomas, one of them. But he had a great college career. I mean, it was like I said, man. I had freshman year. Only one of us played varsity out of our freshman 5. The other 3 played JV, and I played freshman. So it was like, pretty much didn't play with those guys until I got to my senior year again.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a little bit here and there, and then like junior, senior year, we started playing again. But I mean, we had, like I said, Max Bash and Josh Tangway, Rob Conley, Colin Hurd, I believe his name is too. I forgot. Yeah, it's Colin. We had Andrew Dean. Andrew Dean, I don't know if you heard of that name. He was good, man. He was actually the reason why we went and played in the state title my junior year. I came down the wire, Western Conference Final against Falmouth Brian Barr's team, and Andrew Dean swung up the varsity. Somebody got hurt, and he got put in with like 10 seconds left. And he was a year younger than me. And the kid hit like 2 big threes to put us ahead. Like the kid was cold-blooded from the start. Like just got moved up from JV. This kid goes out there with 10 seconds, like 15 seconds left in the Western Conference Final my junior year. He was a sophomore and just didn't even faze him. So he ended up playing he was my starting, he was a point guard or shooting guard my senior year. And he actually was really, really good. I think he actually ended up going to Thomas too.
Nice. How about your AAU squad? Like who'd you have by the time you rolled around like junior, senior year? Like who were you?
Joseph Naguani, Carlos, Martin Cleveland. We had Chris Huff, Eric Alansky, Tim Miller. And then we had, you know, Josh Tangway. But realistically, I mean, our starting 5 was just tough. I mean, right? Joseph, Carlos, Martin. I mean, I arguably think Martin was probably one of the best big men at that time. And the kid was, I mean, he just had he had a jumper. He had bounce. I mean, you could literally throw anything up to that kid and he's going to catch and dunk on somebody's head. Yeah. And he doesn't take any shit. Like if you do something down low to him, guess what? It's like, yeah, I'm coming. You don't do that. Like I would recommend not pinching him in the back down low, nothing, because Martin was just ruthless down there, man. He'd dominate. So I mean, and then you had me and Carlos and Joseph on the wing. And then you had to throw Eric Alansky in there too. That just knocked down 3. It was just that was our 5, man. We ran with. And
did you guys win states?
Yeah, we won states. Yeah. I think we won states all 4 years besides one, and it was against Maine Hoops. And I want to say that was they had Sean Costigan, Brian Barr, Jordan Cook, Sean McNally was on that team. I mean, they were huge, man. That team was stacked with just big guys. Who else was on it? Oh yeah, Mark Jacoby.
I was gonna say
Mark
Jacoby
was on
playing for someone.
Dude, Jacoby was that guy. Let me tell you something. I mean, I'll never forget that kid threw down like 7th or 8th grade, and I was like, yo, who is this kid? Smooth lefty too. I loved his game. I had a lot of respect for his game.
I remember we played him. I was a sophomore. I was a junior. We played him freshman year. It's like he was a freshman in high school, and I couldn't get over just how smooth and under control he was for.
Yeah.
And he was fully grown. He was like 6'4", like as a freshman, and just unreal.
He literally never got phased. You know, he's like you never even hear a word come out of his mouth either. Dude. He would really just get the ball and look around, hold it, see what he does, pick his spots. And I'm like, this kid is unreal. And this kid's the same age as me. He's got like 5 inches on me. Yeah. He's already dunking. And the lefty, I mean, his game was so smooth. And I
think he's the best one that I've seen in person, like in high school. Like he was definitely the best one I played against in high school. But like even beyond that, I think he's the nicest one that I've seen. Just so well around, is so smooth.
Dude, I love watching Mark play, man. He was a hell of a guy, dude. He's a cool dude, man, too. I haven't seen him for a long time, but I always had a lot of respect for Mark, man. His game spoke for itself. I mean, he was the killer. When he wanted to take over a game, guess what? You ain't doing much about it because he can hit the 3, he can go to the hole, he's got handles, and he's got bounce.
Yeah.
So it was just like all 3 of those. It was just, I mean, all 3 of that combination was just deadly at his size too. It was just like, wow. Another name too, Logan Bouchard.
Yeah. I never saw him in person, but I know the legend of Logan Bouchard.
Yeah. He came, I'll never forget, sophomore year, I'm like, I'm at a gym in Greeley. It was AAU, and I'm like ready to, I'm all amped up. I'm like, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to hopefully do my thing, get buckets. And all of a sudden this kid comes in. I'm like, and he was doing the same thing I was doing. I'm like, who is this kid? Like just throwing it down, hitting people like crazy. And I'm like, where did this kid come from? Literally never heard of Logan Bouchard until my sophomore year. And this kid just blew up. Like his game, that's another, he's top. He's up there for who I thought was probably top for our class too.
Was he 06?
Yeah, 06.
Because he got hurt, right? Didn't he wind up getting hurt, or at some point, like he messed up his knees, and that's why?
Maybe that's what it was. I think he went. Where is he from? Old Town.
Old Town, yeah.
Yeah, Old Town. Yeah, man. Nah, dude, that was another kid that was in high school. I was like, I wish we could have all joined a team together, like, and just went and played like out of state. But we had our own little AAU teams going on at the time, so.
I remember seeing videos of him like in dunk contests and stuff like that. Like I didn't see him in person till like 2010, 2011, like in some men's league here in Bangor he was playing. So like I saw him then, but
we played Brewster Academy. My senior year, going into my senior year, MBR, we had like an MBR All-Star weekend. Yeah. And it ended up being like me, Sean Koski, and Brian Barr, like all the guys were playing Brewster Academy. And I want to say Logan dropped like 25-30 on Brewster Academy. And he won the dunk contest. He threw it off the backboard. No, threw it off the back wall, caught it between his legs. And like at that time, no one's doing that. You know, so he's not 6'5". He's my height. Maybe I think he might be a little shorter than me. Maybe he's like 6 feet, but he was rugged and his game was nice too.
Yeah, you guys had just a bunch of hoopers. We mentioned MBR a couple times. Were you an MBR troll? Were you getting on there with fake accounts and?
Oh, no. I would keep up with them. I would always keep up with like the top 10 players and stuff like that. And I love to get on there and see people talk trash and stuff like that about, top 10, who should be in the top 10, who shouldn't be in the top 10. And as soon as I saw my name in the top 10 a few times, I was like, yeah, that's where it should be. I think top 5. But at the same time, it was just, I felt like at the time these kids were playing varsity at freshman, sophomore year. I didn't get my chance to play until, junior, senior year. So it was just all that growing up, man. The NBR was fun. That was fun to follow, man. That blog they had going on there. Yeah. Get on there and just seeing who was talking trash, everything else. It was really fun, man. I was on the daily back in the day, just reading that shit all the time. Dude. Oh yeah, for sure. I want to see who's on the top 10. Who this kid shouldn't be top 10. He sucks. Like it's like who's this dude? Yeah, this is all pre-Twitter stuff right here. It's still out there. It's still out there. People can still go to NBR that have never been to NBR. I want to come back to like the players that were in your class at the very end. We'll circle back around. But you had to go play in college. So you went to Franklin Pierce. Yep. How did it come down to Franklin Pierce? So going into my senior year, I remember we're playing against Brunswick. Oh yeah, Brunswick is another team we played. No, that was they were Class A. Never mind. We were playing Brunswick going into my senior year that summer, and we had Coach Chadbourne come and watch me play. And he came up to me after the game and started talking to me like he was interested in me. And he was like, "We'd love to, talk forward about you coming to school at Franklin Pierce." And at the time, man, I didn't know where I stood with college. Like I said, I struggled in school. It just never came easy to me. And that's why I kind of gravitated towards basketball, because it made me who I was. School was definitely not my thing. It just, so at the time I had a teacher being like, I was a sophomore, and he told my mom, he was like, I don't think, Jeff's going to be ready for college. I don't think he's going to be able to go to college. I don't think he can handle it. Pretty much telling my mom, like, it's just not, maybe at tech school. There's nothing wrong with tech school, but I wanted to play 4 years of basketball, college basketball. And I wanted a scholarship. And I said I was going to get a scholarship my freshman year, no matter what. So, started talking to Chadbourne here and there, some of the assistant coaches. And then probably a couple weeks before the season started, he was pretty much like, "Hey, we're going to offer you a scholarship. Here it is, take it or leave it." And I was like, talking to Mom, I was like, "Mom, this is what I've been working for, and like full scholarship. I mean, that's every kid's dream, And at the time, man, I didn't know much about recruiting. I didn't know much about college. I didn't have anybody that, around my family that has ever, actually, I think I might've been the first person in my family to graduate college, my dad and my mom's side, so nobody was really used to that whole recruiting process and how it worked and who do I talk to and putting my name out there and everything else. So when we got Coach Chadbourne coming to us telling us, "Hey, full scholarship," we were like, let's do it.
Sign the papers.
Yeah, like let's do it. So I verbally committed to him before the season. He told me he loved my game, and I was just like, and I went up for a visit and I loved it. The guys were great. And then halfway through my senior year, I didn't realize how much I was going to have a breakout senior year. I led the SMA in scoring that year. First year in Class A. I won the MVP of the season, got the MVP award for the season from the SMA. And I didn't really realize like how my season was going to go. And I had URI actually contact my coach. Halfway through the season was talking about him. And they're a little concerned with my grades and my SAT scores. Like I said, school wasn't my thing, man. And I probably could have tried a little bit harder during the summer at the SAT preps and the testing and stuff like that. But I didn't realize how much that really put in perspective, like how much that would impact my, going to school, going to college. I didn't know that. I was like, "Oh, I'm here for testing," And that's one thing, if, ever watching this, whoever struggles in school, man, make sure you take that stuff serious, because that stuff will come back and get you. If you really want to go play ball at a high level somewhere. And so URI was kind of showing interest, but I already had verbal commitment with Coach Chad at Franklin Pierce, and I was looking forward to going there. So that's how I ended up at Franklin Pierce. And I had to redshirt my freshman year for academic redshirt.
Academics?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was tough. I did everything, train, conditioning, practice, but no road trips, no nothing. So
here's a chance to give some kids up there some advice as well. So like you were in a red shirt environment, and some kids, they get asked to red shirt or they got a red shirt for whatever reason. What do you take away from that red shirt year? Like how did it propel you forward?
You know what? I liked it because after the red shirt year, I came in right and started all 4 years at Franklin Pierce. And I think if I didn't redshirt that year, I was a little small. I came out 150. My 150. I'm playing it in any 10. I mean, that big guards in any 10. So I ended up putting like 15 pounds of muscle on that. Just working out, hitting the weights hard. You learn the plays and stuff during practices, and you really get to know the program and the organization and how they run things there. So sitting out, I thought really helped me. At the same time, I felt like it kind of brought me down. I didn't play any games. I went from killing to kind of sitting out for a year and wishing I was there. I'd take my own car to go watch the team play, sit in the stands. It's like, yeah, I'm part of the team, guys. Yeah. Just back here rooting them on. But I mean, if you're in that opportunity and you get to redshirt your freshman year, and hopefully it's not injuries. I feel bad for guys like that. But if it's just academic or anything like that, just take it and ride with it, man. Work out, get in the gym, study the plays, defensive, offensively, everything, man. It helped out a lot because, like I said, going into my should be my sophomore, my real freshman year, I started right off the bat. So I was ready to go.
And the biggest thing too, like you said, right, is just there's a difference in physicality when you're going from high school.
Oh yeah.
And you're playing against guys that are now 22 years old versus 18 years old, and just being stronger, being faster. So even just that year, just to get bigger, to get stronger,
Yeah, dude.
work on your game, it only helps.
It's crazy. It's really, you don't really notice until you really step on the floor with these guys, and it's like, okay, you get by this one guy, and guess what? He kind of nudges you a little bit. And usually that nudge wouldn't do anything playing against like just, guys in high school, whatever else. But that nudge kind of knocked you off the ball a lot. And you're like, whoa, okay. I mean, I'm 150 out here, 6'1". This guy's 6'3", 6'4", 210, 205. And it's like, that's another thing NE10 was. A lot of big guards, man. So I had to put the weight on. I had to get some muscle on. And it didn't take me too long because the programs they have for you at these colleges, man, I mean, Franklin Pierce was kind of like D1. You start way before the season, even before school starts pretty much. You get there, you're already in individuals, lifting, pickup, conditioning every single day as soon as you get there. And that goes on pretty much all 4 years, or 5 years, we should say, when I went. So
by the time so you were there for 5 years because you redshirted. So by the time we got to year 5, like you talk about that grind and like, starting before school starts, even before your first practice, you've been going at it for a month, 2 months. By the end of it, like were you like, all right, I'm good with basketball, like I'm ready to.
It's tough, man. It really is. Especially you go from pretty much doing what working out when you want. No one telling you to get in the gym, to going to a structure like that. It's tough. It's tough to adjust, and then throw on top of schoolwork. Like I said, I struggled in school, so that was another thing. It was like, it's the study halls that would help me out a lot that we used to have. It was really tough. You were pretty drained at the end of the season, but I mean, it was fun. Competition was fun. We're playing against hoopers in the NE10. Some of the guys that should be playing D1 was just they couldn't get their grades right, or this or that. Man, it's NE10 Division 2 is no joke.
So I was taking a look. I was trying to get some research on the college years, and the Franklin Pierce's website only had like your first 2 years up there. I couldn't find what happened after that. So recap me. How did college play out for you? I know like you made a jump scoring wise from freshman to sophomore year, but I don't know what happened after that. So fill this in.
So it was team wise, we were good, very good. We were always one of those teams that we couldn't close games, so that was another thing. We'd had losing seasons all 5 years there. 4 years. That's draining itself. You go from winning Gorham to going to Franklin Pierce. So we have a good team. We just can't close games, and we're just not doing things right to not even going 500 for the season, and it's like halfway through the season, you're like, man, this is losing like this. It's like trying to keep your head up is tough, man.
Yeah.
It's very tough. But I ended up being a 1,000-point scorer at Franklin Pierce, and I actually hold the 3-point record there too. The most
still hold it?
Yeah, I still hold it till this day, man.
There we go.
That's what I'm saying. I took a lot of threes, but, that's what I was in there for. Just shoot. So I played pretty good my 11th grade year, senior. Realistically, man, I think I underachieved there. I should have been better, and it is what it is. And I'm realistic about it. I should have averaged more a game. I should have did more to help the team, but a lot of the times it was losing 6 in a row just to keep losing, and your love for the game kind of halfway through the season, it's like tough to keep going, and then being on my own for the first time in school too, and doing all these other things, it was just like, it takes a lot if you can't handle it, takes a lot out of you, especially with schoolwork on top of all the basketball during the day. And I lose focus sometimes here and there during the seasons, and I regret doing that. But at the same time, I was young, and I didn't really understand, I didn't really, I think I averaged like 12 or 13 a game there, overall, maybe. I think it was something like that. My junior year, I think I had like 10 or 11 a game. I think my senior year, same thing, 10 or 11 game. But it was fun. Basketball was fun. We just, each year we couldn't get it together, man. We just couldn't get it together. I don't know what it was.
You mentioned one thing too that is quite rare. I think you don't really hear it too often, but didn't score 1,000 in high school, but 1,000 in college.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy with
That's
that.
crazy.
It was, I ended up scoring 1,000 in college. It was funny how I did it too. It was like, we had like 10 games left or 11 games left my senior year. We're up by like 10 on one of the games we won. They're up by 10. And I got the ball. It was like 10 seconds left. And I knew I only need like 2 points to be over 1,000. So I was like, nah, I'm shooting this. I thought, coach is looking at me like, all right, Jeff, what are you thinking? He already knows what I need to get 1,000. And I come at the buzzer and do a baseline leaner from 3, cashed it to get 1,000. But yeah, man, I feel good about that too. Scoring 1,000, I didn't get to score in high school because I knew if I would have played 4 years, I would have definitely scored 1,000. I mean, I think I had like 800 points in 2 years or something like that for my junior and senior year of high school. So I wasn't too far behind. If I had next year, I definitely would have scored 1,000 at Gorham. But we don't even have that many 1,000-point scorers at Gorham. Ben Thayer, I think, might be top 3 up there, I think. Other than that, I mean, I think we only have like 10 guys. The other guys I don't really know. They're young, way older than me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Gorham didn't really have many 1,000-point scorers.
It was the system. It was the system. And it was the structured pass, cut, screen.
Yeah.
42 points, total, the total team score at the end of the game.
Yeah. No, seriously. That is very true. I was actually going through some stuff last week to try to like refresh my memory. I mean, this is a long time ago, man. Yeah. I started thinking about when he reached out to me, I was like, man, I don't even know if I remember half this stuff from 15, 20 years ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first started doing this, I've reached out to certain people and be like, hey, you interested in doing this? Like, they're like, I couldn't tell you anything, to be completely honest. I don't remember anything. And I'm like, how hard is it to remember this shit? But I try to think back to like when I played too. And it's like, I don't remember shit either. Like it's a long time ago now.
Dude, it is a long time ago, man. A lot of basketball's been played since then, so. But yeah, no, Frank Pierce, fun, man. I scored 1,000 points, right? Hold the 3-point record there. And it was, D2 is very competitive, man. It was a great league to play in. The Franklin Pierce itself, the school was in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Wasn't really much going on around there. But basketball wise, I mean, that was what I was there for, and I mean, yeah, we struggled every year, but it was still enjoyable. I met a lot of my friends nowadays I still talk to, out of that school, I still talk to every day, my roommates and guys I played basketball with. So
since then, what's the basketball life been like? We were talking about before we started recording. You're playing out to kind of keep in shape, get the cardio and stuff like that. I heard a couple of weeks ago or a month ago out of Noonan that you were still giving work. That's what I was told. So
yeah, I mean,
where are you at right now, basketball wise? Where are the skills? Because I mean, you're probably coming down off your prime. You're in your early 30s now, so.
I still get buckets, man. That's not going to change. The jumper gets better too, and you get wiser. You can pick your spots. Everything kind of slows down when you get older, especially your body. But it's my jumping, but bounce is pretty much gone. I can still dunk, but that's
you got to try really, really hard for that now, though.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. But Noonan, I mean, it was fun, man. I always enjoy getting out there and playing with these young guys. Especially they don't know how old I am, and I come in and give you maybe 15, 20 right off the bat, and they're like, yo, who are you? I'd be like, I'm old enough to be, like, I'm 33 years old right now. Like, they're like 18, 19, 20, yeah. Man, it was fun, man. I actually only played 2 games that weekend. Ended up doing something that had something to do that Saturday afternoon, so I couldn't make that game. And then I woke up Sunday, I'm not going to lie, man, I was pretty sore. That's
the biggest thing at this age, right? You can play like one game, maybe then you're done, and then you got to recover.
Yeah, I come home after Friday night game, man. I literally had both legs in an ice bucket. John's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "If I want to play tomorrow, I got to do this. Like, this is what I got to do." But I mean, basketball, man. I never really gave it up. I still played. I played in the ABA for a little bit. ABA about 2013, I played a little bit in that out of a team out of Linden, Mass. I was trying to get put together, and I was living down in Boston. And then the season was out of the league was out of New York, so we used to travel down and play in that. But our team actually, the ABA was more. it wasn't really funded that well. So, I mean, teams would collapse left and right. So we'd literally go down there and show up and there'd be like no team there. Like, yo, what are we doing here? Like, I never got paid for it either. I signed for $1,000 a month and never saw any money. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But I really never gave it up, man. I've always kept playing. I mean, I still work out till this day, just so when I play, I can still get after it, because it's something like if I'm not with my family or if I'm not at work, I mean, you can probably catch me playing ball. It's just something I never really gave up, man. It's something that you just get out there and you have a stressful day, go out there and play some hoops. It's way better. You just feel better afterwards, man. So I mean, I'm still active, but multiple games in the weekend, like AU. Oh, it's coming down, man. Like next year might be the last year I play in the Newton tournament. That might be it for me.
You see yourself doing like any coaching at any point, or like working with these younger kids, anything like that?
I would love to. I would love to do more individual work. Because I know what the work I know what it takes to put get better. And I know what you have to do. Just put the work in, the time, and the effort. And the coaching part, I'm not really that interested in. The individual training, group training, stuff like that, I'd love to get back into. I tried to get my own thing going a couple years ago, but timing wasn't right. We were expecting our first kid. And then just with work and everything else, it was just so hard to, start training kids on the side too. But I mean, I'd definitely love to get in the whole training program type thing, group training, here later on down the road. Actually, I've been talking to a buddy about maybe trying to get a gym somewhere, some time in Gorham, and trying to set something up there. So, I mean, hopefully training wise down the road, man, but I mean, that's all I know, It's pretty much growing up doing that. You might as well give back, especially I can't just keep going to play men's league and everything else, doing my own thing. It's like time to give it back. And
time to give it back at some point.
Yeah. And my daughter's growing up. I'd love to get them going too, and hopefully get them in the gym as much as possible. With the whole training thing going on too. So
if you ever decide you want to go the coaching route, I'll put a call in with Lon and get you on the staff. I mean, it's all 4 kids on the staff. We could probably make an exception to get you on there, but might not be a bad staff.
Lon started coaching and teaching at Gorham my 10th grade year. I was in high school when he started doing that. He used to run his mouth all the time to me. I'd be like, he's like, you can't outshoot me, Manchester. I'm like, yeah, whatever. He's my math teacher at the time.
Yeah,
a good dude, man. And he's done wonderful things with that Gorham girls program.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy.
Real deal.
Yeah. You guys from the same area?
Yeah, he's from Fort Kent. We're from the same hometown.
You ever play ball with him?
No, he's a little bit older than me. You know what I mean? So he was like my guy when I was growing up. Like he was that dude.
Gotta get over the Bagshaws here soon, man, and run over there.
I know. I'm hoping that at some point this winter I can get down there and be involved in one of these runs. Like I see it on Facebook Live all the time, and it looks like it's the place to be.
Yeah, man, it is, man. A lot of good runs. I mean, I pretty much saw Logan, Bagshaw grow into the player he was. He turned into be. I mean, that kid's game evolved over a couple years, just putting that work in. And I saw Matt and Jordan go for their run at Greeley. Matt McDevitt and Jordan. But when I first moved back in 2016, I started playing at Bagshaw, and that was fun, man. I mean, all those guys go over there. Keegan Highland, Nick Jobin goes over there and plays. You got Matt McDevitt. Obviously Logan plays when he's home. Yeah. Jordan's there. All the young guns, man. And then you get Lon over there too. Lon will be there. Hoops over there.
I've heard a lot of stories about what goes down over there. Where do you compare, like, with some of these young kids? Like, how do you think your game would compare with some of these kids coming up now?
If I was back then?
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. I don't want to be that old time and be like, yeah, I'd give them I would, and it's just who I was back then, man. And it's just, I don't know. It's just all about the work you put in. I put too much work in back then not to be who I was, And I mean, I don't know, man. I think I'd just like any old timer being like, yo, I'd give you buckets when I was there. And the funny thing is, I can still give them buckets. If
you're giving them buckets now, you would have given them buckets back then too. So
yeah, for sure.
I want to go through some of these players real quick before we get out of here. The kids that were from your class, just a stat class. I mean, I think you could compare this class to pretty much any class, right? So, I'm looking back, 2006, Bangor Daily News All-State first team. Jordan Cook was class of 06. Carlos Strong was class of 06. Bryant Barr, class of 06. You were second team, class of 06. Martin Cleveland was class of 06. And then you had Sokobe, who was hurt his senior year, but he was class of 06, right?
Yeah.
And then let me see if there's anyone else that I'm missing. What about Andrew York from Central Aroostook? That's a county kid. I don't know if he was class of 06 or 07, but
oh man, I don't remember that name.
The kid was a hooper too. But yeah, anyway, all the names that I just named. Did I mention? Oh, and Sean Koskin. I forgot. I left Sean out of there. So a lot of names from your class of 06 right there.
Yeah.
I want you to do this. Give me the top 5. You were talking about MBR back in the day, saying that you belong in the top 5. Give me the top 5 from the class of 06.
Okay, I'm gonna go. You want number 1, like straight number 1 player?
If you want to, I mean, if you want to make some enemies out there, go for it.
It's fine. I'm gonna go. You know, like I said, I always respected Carlos Strong, man. I mean, ever since I met him. I mean, he made me a better player. You know, playing with him because he was always wanting to win.
Yeah.
He'd push you on the court too. Like if you were making mistakes, guess what? You're gonna know it. You know, and he's not coming at you like crazy. He'll just, you know, pretty much try to point you in the right direction. Like, hey, you're doing this, do this. I'm going to Carlos Strong, number 1. I'm going to go number 2. I go Mark Sokobe because, I mean, he didn't play our senior year, right? That's what you said?
I think he was hurt senior year.
But I'm going to go Mark Sokobe just because, I mean, he was a beast out there, man. I mean, he could pretty much do everything. And he was 6'4", whatever he was, 6'5". I mean, he grew. And then you had Sean Koskin. Number 5. I'm going to go Logan Bouchard. And then I'm going to go, man, who was the first team?
First team was Jordan Cook, Carlos, Sean, Bryant Barr, and then Ryan Martin was first team, but he was only a sophomore.
Yeah. Man, that's tough because we got Brian Barr, and then I also was going to throw. So I had Logan Bouchard, and number 5 would be. I mean, I don't know. I want to throw myself in there, but
you got to throw yourself top 5.
Yeah, I got to throw myself top 5. I'm going myself for sure.
My goodness, you guys were stacked.
We were stacked, man. That year was 06 was crazy.
And then I think Brock Bradford, he was from Bangor. I think
he was nice.
And then Chris Wilson from Brewer, was he 06?
Yeah, he was 06.
Oh, man, Wilson's nice, man. I've played so much men's league with Wilson since he left high school. That kid is nice.
All these guys I grew up playing against, man, I always respected their games. I mean, those kids could hoop. I mean, you knew every time you were going against them, you were going to have to put work in. It wasn't going to go easy. Who did I say? We got Carlos. We got
Carlos 1, Sokobe 2. I think he had Sean 3, Logan 4,
and then me. But I mean, I don't know. I'm going me. I have to put myself top 5.
You have to.
I'm not.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm going to put myself out there. Top 5. Dead or alive.
Stat class. Anything we missed before we get up out of here? I always give my guests a chance to say a little something if we missed anything before we get up out of here. Did we miss anything?
Oh, man, I don't think so. I mean, we went over a lot.
You feel good about it?
I'm trying to think back, too. I mean, that was so long ago, 15.
Oh, you know who else was in your class?
Who?
Matt McKenzie.
Oh, yeah, Matt McKenzie. And I always thought Matt was a year older than me. The dude was always been a big guy.
Yeah, he was massive in high school.
But he was 25 when he was like 17. So it was just Matt, yeah. And then who else was there? It was somebody else.
Was McNally?
Now I want to say he was 07. I'm not quite sure though.
Yeah, he was 07. He was 07.
Yeah. He came with Troy, you know, and I never even got a chance to play against Troy in high school. I used to watch him play, and he was. I mean, the dude was a baller in high school. Let's see who else.
Greg Whittaker was class 06 too from Prescott. He's a county kid. He was like that.
Yeah, he went to USM.
Yeah, went to USM.
Yes, he went to USM. Yeah, I knew him growing up to AU.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else was 06, man. I know there was a few other guys. Who else was there? I know we're missing some names, but I mean that was long ago, man. It was so long.
You might hear from them after this episode.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We can go out. We can get one-on-one right after this. Man. Hit me up.
Yeah.
I'm ready to
Wow,
go.
this is good. Hey, you're, like I said, your stack was class. That era was stacked. And if you look at the class before you, 05, even like 04 with Mims, and then keep going forward, like with Zach Ray in 03, Kenny Medley.
Those guys,
great time
for us. They paved the way for us. I mean, pretty sure you talked to, I mean, you already did, but you talked to some of those guys. We grew up watching these guys play, you know, wanting to be them. You know, I saw all the performance Ralph put in at the Civic Center against Deering and all those other teams. It was like, I mean, he was just different. He was different out there. And I was like, oh, this kid is just unstoppable. You know, you got Walter had crazy bounce. You had Nick was just different out there. So different. This is what we grew up watching, you know, and that's what we wanted to be. You know, all these guys you just named, I'm sure they all did the same thing I was doing, just dreaming. You know, one day that's going to be me. So. And
here we are. And now it's coming back around. Now we're in another renaissance right now with the kids coming up right now.
Yeah.
And all kinds of offers, all kinds of good looks. So Maine Hoops is in a good place right now.
I love seeing it. I really do. I love seeing this. You know, I see it all the time when you guys post it. Matt, I feel like I said, I follow Matt McKenzie. He keeps up with a lot of those guys. Yeah. He looks like he's got his pretty good training program going on right now too.
He's got his new gym opening up next month. I can't wait to hit it up. He got a brand new facility he's got going online here. It's going to be great.
I got to get up there and check that out. I got to hit him up.
I mean, maybe have an 06 alumni game or something like that, you know?
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. I'm ready to go. Like I said, I still play, man. So, I mean, I'm playing both sides of the floor is a little tough for me now. Like, you know, so it's like that Noonan tournament, man. It was tough, man. I had to play both sides of the floor. It's not like I'm playing men's league. I'm playing against college kids that have been in shape the whole season. I have to play defense and offense. So it was like,
it's too much work. It's too much work at that age.
Yeah, that's it, man. I think I got one more year playing in these tournaments. Then I'm going to be like, that's it. I'm going to be sitting on the sideline just coaching a little bit here and there.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to Matt. We'll see if we can get a big-time Hoops alumni game. We'll get the class 06 together and see. Maybe we'll find another class for you guys to play.
Yeah, man, that'd be fun, man, for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, my man Jeff Manchester on Big Time Hoops, the podcast, coming through, our first Gorham guy, and he didn't disappoint. Jeff, anything else? Anything else before we get up out of here?
No, man, I just want to say thank you for having me. I was glad we were able to do this, you know, and I just hope, you know, Maine, these kids keep putting on for Maine. I mean, a lot of big names coming up right now, a lot of these big schools, you know, that you don't really normally see people getting recruited from Maine from, you know, too. And it's great to see. So hopefully all these kids keep working. And you can hoop outside, man. It doesn't matter if you're inside or outside. I mean,
yeah, that's where you're gonna leave the podcast with the kids. It's okay to play outside. Listen to Jeff. It's not a bad thing.
Nah, man. You can do the same thing you can do outside. You can do inside.
There we go.
So, thank you for having me, man. This was fun.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming through. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Big Time Hoops, the podcast. Make sure you're checking out all the previous episodes. A lot of the names we talked about tonight, they got their own episodes that we've done in the past. So make sure to go check those out. And more Big Time Hoops episodes on the way. So make sure you're checking out those. But for now, that's it. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, man.